Hey! Welcome to Brown Bacons. It's Andy, realizing at the last second that he needs to introduce the show. Noops is out today. He is watching his bets, which is honestly the worst way to sweat bets. Nothing worse than watching a guy lose right in front of your face. I've only had that really for baseball, I think. I'm trying to think of live events I've been to that I actually had money on. Horse racing, obviously, but I mean, I'm just used to those all losing anyway. That's not something you really worry about. But for the most part, I think I'm probably lifetime up on baseball games I've bet on. It seems like I just have decent luck throwing some coin flips in there or relying on Twitter to tell me to bet. But he is at the U.S. Open today, so Matt Rooney joining us as he often does. The reliever coming out of the pen, stepping in on a Monday. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing well. You were on vacation last week. I was also out of town, as people saw on Friday. Dan said it looked like I was in like witness protection program doing it from my hotel room in Aspen, but it was a good weekend getaway. Good to be back, even though I was on the show most of last week too, filming it for you. And I don't know about you. I know you're not the biggest college football guy, and Saturday is usually your kind of family day, but it's good to see real football back on our screens, wasn't it? I feel like week 0 is kind of like similar to the preseason of the NFL, where you get really excited that it's back and then you watch it for a little bit. Whereas in this case, you kind of watch the one game, you watch Northwestern, Nebraska, and then realize the rest of the games are kind of crap. But still, it was like football's back. You got football back on your screen. At this time, it actually means something.
No, comparing Northwestern Nebraska to like the Hall of Fame game is pretty apt, I'd say. It's like, oh, football's on tonight, football's on, and then you're like, oh, this sucks. Like we get to watch Scott the promise that was Scott Frost just continue to chip away at that program's legacy. I'm old enough to remember like Nebraska being. I mean, Nebraska was Alabama when I was young. That was like the balls. I mean, that team was constantly playing big bowl games. It was something to watch. Part. I did catch part of it. I was around a little. I was keeping up on it on Twitter for the most part. But yeah, just week 0 is always kind of a tease. Although I there were some people that made some money. I didn't really bet week 1. I took it easy. How'd you do?
I had brown bag bets. I gave out a teaser that was Illinois covering 7, Northwestern covering plus 18.5, which they did very easily. And then my big mistake was just blindly betting Hawaii at home at night, and that didn't happen. They didn't even cover. It was like the plus 15.5. I didn't need them to cover. They wouldn't have covered 50. So lost that one. But then I also, the morning of, put a little bit on Northwestern plus 11.5 and the Northwestern money line, because even though if you watched any of me and Dan and Phil on the Blogger Bowl, we like Nebraska this year. I think there's still going to be a solid team, a lot of talent there. Them being 13.5 or 11.5 point favorites, what it got to against anybody in week 1, let alone a program like Northwestern that, well, they were bad last year, usually is pretty consistent and rarely ever has 2 bad years in a row. Them coming in as double-digit point favorites just never really made sense to me. So obviously I wanted to bet that, and then why not sprinkle a little bit on the money line too? And Fitz got the boys going.
Yeah, no, that is your team. Again, I gave you shit about the last time we were on a show together. I gave you hell about Notre Dame. I'm going to do it again. You live in Chicago. That's your team. You're a Northwestern fan.
Chicago's Big Ten team. I've always rooted for Northwestern. My dad played at Northwestern, so growing up, had ties, and we were always a bigger Notre Dame fan. But when Northwestern was on, always knew to root for the purple. So we saw them on there, and was obviously rooting for them to bring home the win, and they did. That was a fun game. It wasn't a great college football game, but it wasn't awful. And I thought there was a lot of fun, and it had a little bit of everything, even a surprise onside kick that failed.
Maybe I'll come around. I'm going to come around on Northwestern. I feel like I hate them for the wrong reasons.
Why do you hate
year
them?
that Ravel had that
that's fair.
ticket on him, and it's like
just say Ravel. That's fair.
I realize like I'm cheering against Northwestern just because I want to see Ravel fail. But no, I'm back on board. They've always had a nice program, so that's obviously my Big Ten team is Minnesota. Yeah. So I can't.
A lot of people like Minnesota this year, Andy.
Yeah,
a lot of people like Minnesota to win the West.
I should get up to a game. It's a really, again, I talked about this a couple weeks ago. I said to somebody, I'm like, I should go to a game, but early in the season, because the only time I've ever gone to a Gophers game, it was fucking terrible. It was like 30 below, wearing coveralls and stuff. I'm gonna go to a September game. We'll do one of those non-conference games. You almost guarantee to win unless you're playing STSU or NDSU, and and obviously this year they should beat all their non-conference. So we'll row the boat.
I like it.
And then
Nice
as someone
stadium,
pointed
too.
out in the chat, and you know what? Like as you walk out of the main gate, literally between the stadium and like the hockey arena right there on campus, there's just like a B-dubs. It's like where other campuses would have, like a building. I hope it's
Like
still there.
a
I'm
like a
hoping I'm not
library or
talking out of
class
turn.
building. It's just a
Oh no,
Buffalo Wild Wings.
I mean, you're in the part of campus where the arenas are. Maybe there's like some administrative building or something, but man, there's just a B-dubs right there, and they put like 9 tents next to it because it's obviously way too full. They did a bracket. B-dubs did a bracket one year based on they filled out an entire bracket based on which team had a B-dubs closest to campus, and they had Minnesota as the winner because it's on campus,
It's
man.
on campus.
Not that there's way better wings to be had, but I digress.
Dan's got a good comment here. Colorado at Minnesota. We've talked about it a little bit in the college football show. Colorado's going to be pretty terrible this year. Their team win total is like 3.5, 3, depending where you find it. Go ahead, take their under, and then go to that game. And that's like what we were talking about earlier. You're watching Minnesota because you do have money on the game technically. You need Colorado to lose, so you got some reason to root for Minnesota.
I just opened a tab and typed in Colorado, Minnesota tickets. I'll finish that up when we're off the show. But
Love it.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. So, like someone pointed out in the chat, Noops isn't just watching it on TV. He's not skipping the show so he can watch tennis. He is there. He lives in Philly, so it's not that far of a trek up to Flushing Meadows. He is at the U.S. Open, and he did bet a bunch. Well, he was kind enough to send his plays, which would be a fun segment later as Matt tries to pronounce names. Yeah. I'll go through the can't lose parlay, but I bet some men's tennis. It's funny, the one I really wanted to look at early on, and I did bet a little on this. It has already started. I think it started. Yeah, Andy Murray taking on Cerundolo. I kind of liked an over in that one. I went smaller on this, but this is a spot I took a little bit of a stand. I talked to a couple people about this because, as we talk about in any of the shows I do, it's good to have a network. It's good to have people to rely on who are smarter than you. And I know a few people who have massive databases of tennis stats. And obviously, if you bet any tennis, there's Tennis Abstract too, which is maybe the best free website ever as far as just stats that are giveaway for free for a sport. But Tennis Abstract's a good way to hash out some of this stuff too. I did bet an under, which an under in tennis is kind of like betting on the favorite, but you're laying 8 games in this one. If you wanted to bet Taylor Fritz to just win, and we are in Grand Slam tennis, so this is a best of 5 for the men. The women's still best of 3, but best of 5. So you can bet instead of straight sets -1.5. It's a straight set price for this. Just Taylor Fritz to win all 3 sets in a row. It's like still -215. So I took a little bit of a different approach here, taking on Brandon Holt. I don't know, anyone who follows anything or even has gambling Twitter up probably saw a little bit of news. You usually don't get a lot of excitement around a qualifier, but Brandon Holt is Tracy Austin's son, and Tracy Austin is someone who won this tournament in 1979 as like a 3-year-old. I mean, go look at. I was sharing a picture with Dan. She has like braces and pigtails. I shit you not. And she was 16 when she won this tournament. She was amazing as a teenager. Actually, didn't win that much further in her career as far as that. She did win 2 years later, but big deal. Like, hey, it's a second generation one. Tracy's watching the matches. Brandon Holt's having fun, but it wasn't like a dominating performance in qualifying. He took all the matches. He dropped sets. He wasn't great. He did get through. It's cool. He's still ranked 300th in the country or in the world. He's not going to shock the system here. Taylor Fritz is a very trendy pick to win this whole thing as well. Now with Joker being denied his status, a little more wide open than people maybe look. If you look at the odds, it's kind of top heavy. Fritz has been bet out a lot to win his quarter, to win the tournament. I like him too. Not so much maybe in the outright markets anymore, as that's been beat up. But Taylor Fritz early in tournaments on hard court, looking back, has really trucked some people. taking on some wild cards or some, he's always been seeded, taking on some lesser players. He has not only won his matches, he's won by volume, double breaks. We're talking 6-1, 6-2s. So looking for him to win at least one of these sets by double break. Serving first would be great. You don't think the coin flip matters that much in tennis. It does when the lines are tight. It would be cool if he served first. Get me a 6. If he get me a 6-3 right off the one of these, that would be really, really swell too. But under 30, minus 108. I found this at low vig. Order of play, he is final in on the grandstand. So the way tennis order of play is listed, you can't just put a time for the fourth match on that court. You have no idea what's going to happen in the other ones. So they just say not before 6 p.m. And that is Eastern time, obviously being in New York. So this one is not going to start until at least 6 p.m. Eastern time. You got a lot of time on this. So Taylor Fritz, obviously having one of the best years of his career. He is breaking at about a 25% clip this year, which is much, much better than a decent player last year. He has a win under his belt already. He can compete to win this tournament. So looking for him to truck right away in the first match here.
I like that, and I tell this to Noops all the time when I do the show with him on Tuesdays after he recaps his tennis bets. Don't really know a ton about what he's talking about, but when you can find a way to get good value on a heavy favorite, I always like taking that because it's a lot more fun doing it that way as opposed to sweating out a minus 250 or something like that. So if you got some value on it, I like it.
Yeah, he's like minus 2,000 to win this match. He's going to win the match. He can't even throw it in a parlay. So, speaking of big favorites, not many baseball games today, huh?
Smaller slate. There's only like 6 or 7 games, and then you look at them, and there's not really like even a marquee type matchup. There's not really many players. I don't think there's a single, that could be a playoff matchup type of game. So I wanted to go out and find some, like you found value with the U.S. Open, find some value on some really good baseball teams, and that's what I did here with the favorites parlay. I have the Dodgers and the Marlins First pitch is 5:40 Central Time. Cardinals and Reds, same thing, I believe 5:40 Central Time. So 2 early games. Obviously, they're heavy favorites, so it's pretty self-explanatory why I like their money lines, but I'll kind of get into it a little bit. Tony Gonsolin is throwing for the Dodgers, and it's hard to say somebody who's been good came out of nowhere, but I think how good he's been came out of nowhere. He's 16-1. He's got a whip under 1, I believe, in ERA in like the mid-2s. Had a little bit of a rough, restart after the All-Star break for his first couple starts there, but 4 August starts, he's been like absolutely lights out. I think he's got like 2 earned runs allowed and 23 and 2/3 innings pitched. So he's been really good. Pablo Lopez is throwing for Miami. He's kind of been their second best starter all year. But he's been pretty brutal in August. He's got like 18 earned runs in 4 starts. So he's been pretty bad. So not only do we like the Dodgers because they're good, but the pitching matchup there obviously favors them. And they're only minus 230 on the money line. So I didn't really understand why that was the case, but I guess there's always something I don't know about. They know more than we do, but still minus 230 on that money line is good value in a parlay, I think. And then the Cardinals are minus 240 on their money line against the Reds. Miles Michaelis is kind of their Mr. Steady kind of third, second arm in the rotation. He's always pretty solid, never too high, never too low. His last 4 starts, he's been really good. The Reds, self-explanatory, pretty terrible baseball team there. They're starting Chase Anderson, who hasn't thrown an inning in the majors this year. Last year, he had over 6.5 ERA through 9 starts. So he's been very bad. And the Cardinals are coming off taking 2 or 3 against Dan's Braves in Atlanta, which it's been really hard to do since the All-Star break because the Braves have been one of the best teams in baseball since then. So two teams playing really well, and you get some plus money on the parlay at plus 103 there. So I really like it. I would get on that quickly though, because I want to say when I put this bet an hour ago, it's plus 103. I want to say the Dodgers may have jumped to like minus 240, so it might be down to even money on the parlay. So get that in now before the lines start to move, because I think you'll see some people put some money on heavy favorites.
Yeah, I didn't bet much baseball last week either. I just kind of followed my Orioles. Need my Orioles to keep still not in the playoffs.
I have them
like 20-1 to make the playoffs, and then obviously the massive ticket to win the AL, which ain't happening. But it's like, man, they took 2 out of 3 from the best team in the AL and still didn't end up. But gained some ground. We have a lot of easy games coming up. I lied. I did place a baseball bet. Somebody sent one of the offshores had a maybe off market, or I don't know. They convinced me after I looked at the schedule too. So I need the Marlins to keep losing. Like I have a mid season regular season win total bet on the Marlins under. So looking for them to continue to get trucked. So Gonsolin, let's go.
Let's
I
do
need
it.
the Dodgers. I need the Dodgers to win just to keep them down. I can't remember how many more losses I need. It's like 17, 18 more losses. I think we can get there.
It's doable.
We will get to the Noops stuff now. So Noops was cool enough to send everything over because honestly, he's already sending it out. He's betting these. He sent out a tweet. He does this for every single slam, I want to
I think
say.
so. Yeah.
Especially,
I feel
so
like I
he will
always see it
do
on before every Grand Slam.
once in a while the can't lose parlay wins. If I had to pick one, God, maybe Cerstea. I don't know. He takes all his favorites and makes a big parlay. This comes out to like 10 or 12 to 1, somewhere in there, depending. It's really going to change depending where you place the bet because all these numbers are going to be slightly different depending where you get it. But we have probably a 2-day parlay. I'm guessing some of these trickle into tomorrow. Some of this, because you have 128 people on both the men and women's side starting the tournament. You have round one that takes a couple days just because there's only so many courts and they're using some for the men. They're playing doubles, they're playing juniors. So they can only get so many matches in a day. This will trickle into tomorrow. But for those listening on podcast form, I will read everybody. Jessica Pegula, Bill's owner's daughter. Arena Sabalenka.
And the Sabres owner. Sabres owner
Yes,
as well.
that's true. Hockey's a thing.
Hockey
Arena
counts.
Sabalenka, who is Noops' favorite player. Corey Goff, sometimes known as Coco. Sarah Sorbis Tormo. 3 names. Beautiful. Ludmila Samsonova, coming off her win. She won the tournament leading into this. She's coming in hot. Marta Kostuk from the Ukraine. Sorana Cerstea. That's the one I picked to lose, only because it's the lowest odds. Belinda Bencic. I have a future on her. Somebody put me on her a few weeks ago. I think I have like 40 or 50 to 1 to win this tournament, so I'll be cheering for her no matter what. Shelby Rogers. Bianca Andreescu, the Mississauga Mammoth, the Canadian, looking to round herself back into form. Sloane Stevens. Sloaner, I like her. Nuria Parisas Diaz.
There you go.
Really familiar with her. And
I've
Daria
heard Noops say her name before.
Yeah, I know. All these I've like heard the names. And Daria Kasatkina. So parlaying, it's simple as parlaying those 13 women, and it pays like 10 to 1. And they're all, some of these, I mean, like Andreescu, Sabalenka, Goff, they're not losing. Some of these are just free spaces for the most part. There are always upsets, but yeah, don't go nuts with this. And then yeah, he does have a bunch of other bets, which we're gonna rely on Matt because Matt's pronunciation is better than mine, I think.
Is it? Is it though? I've done this before. I've had the one time where he his internet feed crapped out right at the start of tennis, and I had to read through the graphic. I think I did it all right.
Yeah, I'll help you. Some of these are easy. Look, one is just Kennen.
I can do that. Podoroska Shmedlova over 20.5 and over 2.5 sets plus 160. Start it. Zhang Teichmann, is that right?
Yeah.
Let's go with it. Over 21 games. Buskova Noskovo, the Kova sisters, over 20 games. Noskovo plus 260 and plus 4.5 games. I like that. Cornet Raducanu over 21. Is that right? Is it Cornet? Is the French pronunciation?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we give it a soft T. I never know if it's Raducanu or Raducanu.
I think it's. I want to say I've heard Noops say Raducanu, so that's what I'm going to go with. And if I'm wrong, I apologize to Ms. Raducanu. We're going to go with Mukova or Muchova. Mukova. We're going to go Mukova plus 135. Bronzetti. Muhova. Oh, Dan says I was right. Raducanu. Muhova plus 135. Bronzetti plus 100. Kennen minus 120. Zhang Qinwen plus 100. And Towson minus 110.
The Dutch.
Love those
Dutch
bets
girl,
as well.
The Danish girl. Yeah, I wanted to look at this Noskovo, see if that is. I'm guessing that's today, seeing who she's playing, that he's taking a big price. Muhova takes on Tom. Muhova, what was that one? Oh, taking on Tomljanovic. So Noskova, is that even a match today, Noops? Or are you just giving me shit that plays tomorrow?
Could be
You might have
tomorrow.
some time on some of this. That is the other part about this. Even getting these in on like Flash Score, starring them takes some time because there's so many of these damn matches that start at once. So that
It is
Noskova,
nice
the
that
big
this one's
underdog,
here
that
though.
is a
Not a. Go
yeah,
ahead.
that is a tomorrow. Oh, it's she plays Buskova, obviously.
Yeah, no Skova Buskova. It's the Kovaman.
Here
It's
I
the
am,
Master Kovas.
here I am just looking. I'm not sure why you went with that one. Yeah, we don't have any reasoning for any of these other than, you know,
Noops
he
likes him.
likes the
That's my
prices
reasoning.
on this. I don't know who Kennan plays either. There's so many matches. So take those all with the, do your do your own research, just like they said with COVID. Double check into stuff. Or was that
Exactly.
not what you're supposed to do? I do not
That's
remember
what
at
you're
this
supposed to
point.
do at first, and not supposed to do, and then supposed to do.
Yeah, I think they switched that. So take a look at those. Some of those are today, some of those tomorrow. Kennan plays Niemeyer. I think she's an Austrian, perhaps. I have to triple check into that. Yeah, Noob should be back. We'll have some more tennis all week. I'll have ATP all week. I'll play ATP all week. The beauty of this week is there's no golf, but there's a shitload of tennis because we won't get till, it's not like the end of the week where normally it's like, all right, we're at the semifinals. There's two matches. I don't like either one of them. Like at the end of this week, we're still not even to the quarters, and there'll still be plenty of tennis to be played. German, says Dan. German, Austrian, kind of the same thing. Swiss
Right
too.
there.
It's all one big mess, honestly. So, and before we go, I did want to mention our partner, Profit Exchange, is now live. I'm not kidding. That
If
is
you're in New Jersey,
100%
they're
happening.
live.
Live in New Jersey. Get yourself signed up. We'll drop some links. Follow at BetSpurts. We'll have some links to get you that best promo code if you do want to sign up there. I've already seen people in some of my group chats that have placed bets there. A lot of people were just like, well, they haven't had a lot of experience with exchanges and say, I wonder if I'll get matched. And yeah, my guy bet some MLB this morning. He got matched on almost everything right away. So looks like there's plenty of liquidity. The water's warm. Jump in. Profit Exchange.
We'll tweet out a link, like Andy said. We'll have an email going out with a link either today or tomorrow, and then we'll try and at the bottom of most of our blogs on the site to throw a little Profit Exchange sign up banner. You can just click right there, go ahead and sign up. Make it easy for you.
Perfect. All right, Matt, for producer Dan, for everyone here in the BetSperts Media and Technology family. And then you say the word group. We'll see you tomorrow.